pleasant Sunday to you. Welcome to closing day here at Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. One last time here for the spring-summer thoroughbred season. I'm Jim Byers alongside Rick Lee, track handicapper and line maker. And Rick, I'm sure we'll be pushing our out time at the end, so it's been another pleasure to handicap alongside you this year. And hope everybody has a good summer. We'll say that right up front. Since we won't be together again for a couple more months.
Yeah, it was a really good meet. I think business was real strong once we got rid of all those off-the-turf days. Weather was really mild this year, so we had just perfect weather conditions, and I thought the racing was really good this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Got a little rain overnight, but no big deal. We're fast and firm on the board here for the start of the card. The first race starts right out with an interesting race. 1 3/8 on the turf. A very rare distance. You know, this is a race, it's for maidens. It's a race where I almost treat it like these 2-year-old races where we don't have a lot to go by, simply because when you get to this sort of distance, you know, the horse that wins it is going to be one that can handle going this marathon type distance, and very few of them have even approached a distance, you know, that's even close to a marathon.
Yeah, and I don't think most of them won't ever do it again either. That's what makes it so interesting. To me, the best long shot of the day is in this very first race. I mean, this seemed like a race tailor-made for a price. That's the 5 Veterans Holiday. Adding blinkers for new trainer Jaime Castellanos off back-to-back second-place finishes. Those were in maiden claiming races, but you can see if you just look at the last season at Remington Park, maiden special weight races was right there every time. Seems to always be making up ground, so just based on his running style, it just seems like he's the type that might want this extra ground, so I'm taking Veterans Holiday as my best long shot today. The logical horse, and the horse that I think will go favored once it thus settles, is Carpe Eros for trainer Brett Calhoun. Brett had another outstanding season. Third start of the season, I like that. Last time out, he was beating only a neck. It was a clear length back to the third-place finisher. He, too, finished well in that last start. Best of connection, so I think he's the one to beat. Sleight of hand, last time out was beating only one length behind Carpe Eros. So if you like Carpe Eros, this one had a little more traffic trouble, so you can point to that. For those of you that think Veterans Holiday coming out of maiden claimers, Sleight of Hand, who most people think is a logical horse, has been in maiden claimers as well. So, you know, to me, at this distance, it's kind of an equalizer, and that's it. Man, I don't want to just keep on. We got 11
That's
races.
All right. I'm going with the 2 POTUS in here, and I'm glad to see that he's getting a little early wagering attention because, you know, you like to feel like you're not just totally out on a limb by yourself. It's hard to be on a limb with Steve Asmussen, who within days, or I don't know, I've lost track of the number, but will be the all-time leading trainer in thoroughbred racing in the history of the world. POTUS, his sire, Lemon Drop Kid, won the 99 Belmont. It doesn't get much more stamina than that. His grandmother, his dam's mother, was My Flag, who was a tremendous mare, who won the Coaching Club American Oaks going 10 furlongs on the dirt. And POTUS is also a half to a horse by the name of Hierarchy, who happened to break his maiden going 1.25 miles on the turf. And Hierarchy is an all-turfer. He's made $351,000 while winning 4 times on the turf from 24 starts. So I think POTUS, if there's ever a horse, and the Tomlinson numbers kind of led me astray yesterday, those 3-digit numbers that I don't know where they come from in the form next to turf and distance and wet. I'm going against them here. Somehow Tomlinson numbers don't think that POTUS is necessarily going to love the 1 3/8, but, you know, he's a grandson of My Flag, and he's a half to 1.25 mile turf winner. So POTUS is my pick over Carpe Eros and Veterans Holiday.
The interesting thing about POTUS, if I can, just say something on the flip side, is he loses ground from the 8th pole to the wire in every single race. Yeah. So that does, I know it's against better horses, though. I mean, that would be also another counter argument, but I just, I didn't pick him higher because I just didn't see anything in there that made me think other than pedigree, of course, which can be important, but he's run 5 times or 4 times. I don't know. We'll see. I think the easier company will be what gets him to the winner's circle.
The question might be, too, I'm banking on him just plodding along and being able to handle the distance. Mm-hmm. And I have found that it's very dangerous to handicap thinking horse A might get the distance, but horses B, C, D, and E won't. That's a really good way to lose, to think, well, I don't think Veterans Holiday is going to get the distance, so I'm going to pick against him. I mean, I've had a lot of losers picking that way. I just think, POTUS might be today's Henley's Joy, a horse that just runs around there and runs with the others and never fires. But I'm going to give him one more shot. I mean, he has gone a mile and an eighth a couple of times, and it's true that he hasn't gained ground late. He hasn't ever really responded, and he's already with his second barn, but at least he's been with two good barns, Shug McGahee and Steve Asmussen. This might be his chance today.
Yep.
If he doesn't break his maiden today, it could be a while for POTUS. On to the second race, $4,000 claimers, 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, and I got shots off mainly because he runs so well for Austin Gustafson. I mean, with Gustafson, he claims his horse from Broberg, wins by 6 at Houston on March 10th, wins again for Gustafson on May 2nd here at Lone Star Park, was claimed away. Matt Hebert gets the horse, runs okay, runs third. Now Gustafson wants his horse back again. So, again, based on how well he's raced for Austin Gustafson, who's had a phenomenal meeting, I'm going to take shots soft.
Let me jump in for a second here. We've just been informed that the 5, Old Trafford, is scratched out of this second race. So that was my top pick. So Old Trafford is out.
Okay.
So.
Is a Daddy, it's my second pick. I forgot when the Doves Cried. The 1A is out. Was beaten only ahead by Old Trafford last time out, who we just heard is scratched, but has hit the board in 3 of his last 4 races. Claimed off Diodoro by Broberg, so I'd call that more of a lateral move. 2 high percentage outfits. And then the 2-horse Top Brass is now my third selection. He was a winner for $4,000, this exact same claiming price at Lone Star on May 6th. And then last time out at Louisiana Downs, June 26th for $5,000. Once again, he gets that really good stalking trip, drew off to win by 1 1/2 lengths. So really versatile horse for our leading trainer, Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, some days when you handicap, you just for some reason don't like a horse. And that was, in my case, shot soft. I can't understand now why I didn't pick him. He makes perfect sense. May 2nd, the vet took a look at him before the race, and he still won by 4 1/4 lengths. Then he came back 2 weeks later, and he didn't run much. But, that was a pretty good race for this level. Now he's had a little bit of time off, one work. So I was going to try to beat him. That didn't work too well for me yesterday. We'll see if it does today. But when I pick against those type of horses, they generally win. But I scratch into Is a Daddy. I don't know. I don't really love this guy either. He put up a nice Beyer fig last time. He actually went by Old Trafford on the turn, and then Old Trafford came back or came on and got him. I scratch into him, and then I've got Top Brass and shots off. So.
Not your most confident selection, I can tell. Just kind of.
No. But, sometimes when I talk myself off of top picks, they do well.
Right. Oh, for sure.
So I shouldn't do that. But on we go to the third. Now, this was a fascinating race because we had 2 of the more impressive maiden winners of the meet, at least among, non-future important stakes horses, and My Baby Blue and White Woman Creek, who both were, super impressive maiden winners. And then, you've got a couple of others that have been running with winners, like Let's Declare Peace, but are they ever going to get the job done? And how much do you value a good maiden win versus some good performances against winners? So.
Yeah, that's part of what makes handicapping fun. I settled on the 4, Let's Declare Peace, who ran well at Houston after a long layoff, finishing a strong third. Frank Lucarelli, another high percentage trainer, must have thought a lot, went right into an allowance race here at Lone Star Park, finished second. Then they've tried a couple moves I can give excuses to. They tried 2 turns against allowance foes. Again, really close to the lead for 6 furlongs before fading. And then they decide, hey, let's turf sprint this filly. Again, an even effort. Now finally back to what appears to be by far her best lick sprinting on the main track. So I'm going to give Let's Declare Peace a slight edge in a really tough race. My Baby Blue for second, like Jim said, very impressive career debut win against Texas bred maiden special weights, winning by 8 1/2 lengths. The runner-up, Crescendo Bling, has come back and had a pretty nice meeting. I was bad off that race, 2 to 5 shot and finished fourth last time out after breaking in the air. You can give, a good excuse there. Back in the condition claiming race, which I assume that's where, she belongs. And then let's go. Whipham Nene still in as far as we know?
As far as we know, I'm glad you pointed that out because you're going to need to check Equibase or whatever. I mean, I guess if you've downloaded the PPs, you got it. But she ran on July 8th up the track in Allowance Company and is already back in again.
Yeah, so she just raced 3 days ago. Is only 1 for 25 on a fast main track, but she's hit the board in 3 straight main track races, and they were all sprints. Good early speed. If she's okay after 3 days, which obviously she is, or they wouldn't lead her over here, then, she's a contender in here. I would just prefer something a little, I guess anything would be more fresh than 3 days.
Yeah, the pole isn't long enough for me not to touch her. Let's just put it that way. I'm going with the 5, Racy JC. She comes out of a non-winners of 2 allowance win against Shastaloo, where she ran for a little bit and then wound up the track. But, those rivals would inhale these, in my opinion, today. You go back 2 races, a $20,000 claiming non-2, and she was competitive. It's a little bit of a reach for me, but I'm going 5, 4, 1 with Let's Declare Peace second and My Baby Blue third. My Baby Blue had very little chance after the start last time, but she did get into some form of contention, and I really didn't like the way she finished. That's the only reason I didn't use her higher. And we are getting word of some more scratches we'll pass along as we move along. On to the 4th.
Yeah, we each picked a Castellano sleeper today, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So hopefully Jaime has a good day today.
Let's hope. On to the 4th race here. 7.5 on turf. I had a note to myself for this maiden claimer, but I can't read it, so let's get your picks.
Yeah, I took Grand Mana back. After the race, I wasn't so sure I was going to. I picked her on July 3rd. I thought she might make an easy lead and go on and just win. And she ran well, beating only 2 1/4 lengths. I think Jim picked the winner there, Aaron's Creation.
I did.
Yeah.
That might have been my last winner. No, not really. I'm being exceptionally hard on myself.
But Aaron's Creation, to me, that horse was the one to beat. I probably should have went that direction. But if you like Aaron's Creation and Grand Mana cutting back from a mile to 7 1/2 furlongs, all of a sudden I started thinking, and dropping out of maiden special weights for the first time, no reason for me not to pick this Asmussen trained filly. The 3 horse, Roma's Choice, is my next pick. Ran at this level last time out against Shanny Go Nanny. And a horse, Lemon Drop Teeny, who, may never win. But nevertheless, I was beaten only a neck on that particular day. Earned a buyer figure, above par for the level. In really good form for a trainer who wins races. And you can always get a good price on Paul Duhan. So, I like Roma's Choice in here. And the 5, Marlowe, who, comes off a nice race behind Roma's Choice. But, again, that was a pretty good effort that day. And, has a lot of experience on turf. Usually gets in a really good position with no excuses. Second time for Broberg.
Yeah, Marlowe has kind of burned through some chances for me. I've been kind of waiting on her to run an even better race than some of the so-so races she's run. I've got her 4th today. Grand Mana, she set kind of a slow pedestrian pace last time in her first try at a mile. She makes perfect sense. When I pick against horses that make perfect sense, sometimes it doesn't work too well. But she probably will benefit from that 2-turn try. But I went with Roma's Choice. She's just been improving steadily. At this time of year, I want a horse that's improving steadily because it seems like a lot of outfits are trying to get another race out of a horse before the meet ends. Not that they're not fit and ready to go, but I didn't really love the way Grand Mana finished last time. Now, obviously, today she gets a 1/2 furlong less. If nobody presses her, I think she's going to be gone, and I'm thinking maybe Praline Prawl blinkers on, might press her a little bit. It's really hard to tell, but I went with Roma's Choice on the improving form. Very close call over Grand Mana and Praline Prawl. On we go to the 5th. Scratch number 6, Sournois. Out of this one, non-winners of 2 claimers at 6.5.
Yeah, the 50 Shades of Purple for Sarah Davidson, who we actually mentioned the Davidsons. They've had a good meet. The dad, Brent, and Sarah, I mean, they've won more than their share of races this year. At the same condition, was beaten only a nose, just 3 starts back. They got a little ambitious in the last 2 races, and still, this 4-year-old gelding raced well. The last start against Irish Unity, Brad's Time, American Code. I mean, breaking awkwardly and then being overmatched in that field. That was just a really strong allowance field. Now in a non-2 for 7,500, I feel like he's going to give a really good account of himself today. The one, Conative and Gold Endeavor. I guess they're both in at this point in time.
Let's see if there's the plain one, Conative, is going to be ridden by Luis Quinones.
Okay. I mean, to me, they're both very similar. Their figs are almost the same. One's been facing winners. The other one, Gold Endeavor, comes off a nice maiden win. Again, I think they both stand a good shot in here. And the 7 horse, Come On Mike, for Steve Asmussen, went a route of ground last time out and kind of a lackluster allowance performance. But, you look at who she's been in with, Say It Ain't Sony, Miss of Time, Slew Tang Clan, and Synthetic Joe. These are all horses that ran really well at a much higher level. So I think Asmussen has this one dropping down to win.
Yeah. I put in, I've got 50 Shades of Purple on top. When Broberg runs both halves of his entry, it seems like the percentage of good performances is pretty high. So I've got Gold Endeavor and Conative second. Gold Endeavor has very little in the way of true sprint form, but, the entry figures big. And I took the 3 Brother Robert as a third pick in here over Come On Mike. I don't really remember why. To be honest, horse has been facing Texas breds regularly. I don't know whether I thought maybe he'd have a touch of speed. But I got him as a third pick.
Yeah, his figs have been on the improve every single race. So
that must have been.
And he'll be forwardly placed as well. So, I could see it.
That was probably what I went with there. On we go to the 6th. Texas bred, maiden special weight, 2-year-old fillies. 5/8 of a mile. We have 2 late scratches since we've come down here. The 3 Faster is out, and the 7 Sea of Life.
Okay. At least it didn't affect us much here. The 6 LL Cool Gray, I'm going to give this one a shot. Was in a big field of 11, was bet down to 8-1, which I think was significant. The field was a nice maiden special weight race. Texas Ascot Queen, Diamonds and Aces ran a really good race as well. It was on a muddy track. Austin Gustafson, tremendous numbers with first-time starters and second-time starters, just 24% second-time out. I imagine that'd be even better if you put second-time starters dropping out of maiden special weights into maiden claimers. So I thought this filly deserved a slight edge in here. Marathon Woman, the other Gustafson, again, his numbers with first-time starters are almost as good as second-time starters. The works look good, 2 out of 8, 3 out of 21. Those 2 short little 3/8 gate works. I did not see either of them, so I can't comment on them, but she's bred to be, quick. So, watch the tote board, I guess, would be my recommendation there. And put a bling on it, has good early speed. This kind of reminds me of the horse that won the other day that you picked that I didn't in a 2-year-old race. Had experience, had good early speed, and I went for something else, and I made a mistake. So, again, I made this horse the favorite, and I didn't pick it, and sometimes that ends up being a mistake. But anyway, inside speed dropping into a maiden claimer for the first time.
The one difference between Put a Bling on It and Pinky Ring Bling, who's the other horse, Pinky Ring had only had 1 race, and it was against Tango Mis Papeles, and he did give it up. This horse has had 2 chances, was extremely reluctant to load the first time. I didn't even think they were going to get her in there the first time. She breaks very, very well. She had some issues in the stretch last time, but has really given it up in the stretch twice. That, to me, is kind of a 2 strikes and a pick against. So I've got her second. I went with the first time Gustafson, Marathon Woman. You know, her dam, this is the first foal from her dam. The dam was a claiming and allowance horse. Won 5 times, did make $134,000 at small circuits. But I took her over LL Cool Gray only because I just didn't like the way she finished in her last start. Granted, it was against some decent ones, but I took a shot with the firster, and maybe we'll get a little bit of a price.
Yeah, and I think put a bling on it. I think he was, a little bit flattered by how Expect the Boss ran yesterday in the stake race. So, those that put a bling on it, Stan's Golden Path and Expect the Boss, I mean, those were good efforts.
Yeah, that's true. I might be, and I didn't bust her down nowhere. I did, we do have her in the picks, but
yeah, we do.
I'm
nervous about her breaking sharp again and then just going on with it. But
now
we'll see.
We have some major scratches that we just found out here while we've been on the air in this 7th race. 7/8 of a mile. Number 3, Oh My Oh, is out, and both of our top picks, the 5, Arima, is out. Who knows which direction. We haven't had time to look at this. Also the 7, She's a Hunk. So now we're left with whoever we scratch into, but, that might change the complexion of the race.
Yeah, I'm somewhat okay with it because I reluctantly picked Arima. I wanted to pick Sweet Sheila's races. Don't look that great, admittedly, but did win by 5 at Delta Downs. All those were 2-turn races, by the way. Every race in her career have been around 2 turns. I wanted to pick her because the 47.3 work on July 4th, I clocked that workout, and, it was really sharp. So I really feel like maybe she's sitting on the best race of her career. And so I'm happy to scratch into her. Leah's Princess is my next selection. Been running against so much better. That's the good news. The bad news is, she's been running on turf her whole career. The only time she did run on dirt, she earned a 57, but she was running in the high 70s going into that race.
Yeah.
Now her turf figures are only in the high 50s, we'll just say. If I could see that her running, in the 40s or something.
And like we've always said, she got a 57, but she was, dead last in a really tough field at Keeneland in an off the turf. Can you get anything out of that race? I mean, I know she ran a 57. A number's a number, but she did run dead last. So what value do you get out of that?
Yeah, and a lot of people. Carl Moore, some people call him lucky. He's really good. I mean, he wins so many races. He owned the upset winner of the stake yesterday for 2-year-olds, and Arima scratches, and here's Carl Moore with a turf horse dropping down to 62.50. He might find the winner's circle again. It wouldn't shock me at all. And let me see, who am I left with here? Let me just scan real quickly. Let's not bother.
Yeah.
To me, it's a 2 or the 1 for me, but.
Yeah, I mean, I have technically, because she was my 4th pick, Sweet Perfection as a 3rd pick. I mean, she was a romping winner last time on a muddy track, broke her maiden, looked pretty sharp, and now there's not as much to beat in here. But, I'm with you. I mean, Sweet Sheila, Lee's Princess, I think they dominate here on paper. So,
yeah, at least Sweet Perfection's win was at 7/8 of a mile, so I think an extra, mark for her on that one.
Sometimes that can be indicative. On we go to the 8th. Scratch the 2, Bob's Bad Boy, and another scratch. Well, we knew about this. The 7, Men of Kyle ran yesterday, so Bob's Bad Boy, Men of Kyle out of this race.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat Share the Upside. I know he's been almost impossible to beat. He's won 4 of 6 turf sprints, 2 of 3 at Lone Star. Terrific horse. I think Yes He Can is a very interesting horse. He's only a nose from having won 4 consecutive races. Has the fastest speed figures in the race. His only race on turf was back early in his career when he broke last on the main track in his career debut at Fairgrounds. He won by 7. They tried him on turf in a turf sprint, and again he broke poorly. Rushed up in there and ran pretty well. And of late, as you can see, as he's matured, he's become a very fast horse. He's almost impossible to beat to the front. The man is well above average, which I had to look this up. Turf sprint sire and War Chant at the bottom. So there's no doubt in my mind, Yes He Can is going to love the turf if he breaks sharp. And again, he's been breaking extremely sharp now for 7, 8 races in a row. I think Yes He Can's got a chance to win and pay $10 going right to the front. I've already mentioned Share the Upside, obvious horse to beat. And then the 1, 7 Cents, who was beaten only a length and a quarter in the Grand Prairie Turf Sprint.
Boanerges.
Yeah, what a terrific horse he is.
He's become tremendous.
And he only finished ahead behind Share the Upside, so 7 Cents has gotten really good for Broberg.
Yeah, this was a race, and this sounds odd to say, but I think it's understandable. Some races, when formulating a multi-race wager ticket, you either have to single a horse and take a stand or just use almost all of them or spread out. There's not a middle ground, and I wanted to use Yes He Can along with Share the Upside, who's my top pick. But then, XY Speed used to be, a high-quality turf sprinter back a couple of years ago and ran a good race over the course back in May. 7 Cents, like you say, has been good. And I couldn't, Triple Creek sometimes runs good ones on this course, although I don't think he's quite up with these. So I just decided to go with Share the Upside and pin my hopes on him. And But you make a good case for Yes He Can, and, that's a good race.
Yeah, it's a very good race.
On to the 9th. Here's another good one. No scratches out of this one. 1 16th, an allowance event.
Yeah, this was a tough race. I went with the horse I laid 5-1, Close to Midnight, again for Luca Rally, who has not been running against the type of competition he's in with today. I will say he only finished a length behind Dino's Cape 3 races ago, and Dino's Cape, I think most people think, is certainly a contender here. 2 starts ago, he dominates $5,000 claimers in a good time, moved up to $7,500, right to the front again, holds on to win against He's a Suitor. I assume He's a Suitor was the big favorite on that particular day. Gets the win there. Really good workout since that race. I just think this horse must really like being here at Lone Star Park. Luke Corelli's done a great job. I'm going to take the hot horse here, regardless of his inability, to win at this level in the past. From Moreau is my next pick. Boy, you see that body of work in 2020. You'd think he'd be, even money in this race. And there's races at Churchill, Keeneland, Oaklawn. They were really good. This year, had kind of a flat first start of the season in April. Asmussen Stable put him on turf last time out, ran a little bit better on the Beyer scale. Now back to the main track, and to me, he stands a solid chance. He's just the type I wanted to try to beat. And Dino's Cape, who scratched yesterday out of a stake for this race, comes off a really nice second-place finish at this exact same condition, draws inside, and again, another contender today for Paul Duhon.
Yeah, I've got him second, actually. We both ended up on the same horse here, Close to Midnight. I'm hoping he can get out there and set the pace and not look back. As far as Fra Moro goes, it's an oddity that he has closed out the meet here. His only other start ever at Lone Star Park was on closing day last summer. I'm not a huge fan of the Asmussen shippers from Indiana. It's a small sample size. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to say, but, we had that Indiana shipper the other day that really figured, I can't remember the name, Granny Nanny or something like that, that was in the other day that ran third. Yeah, and, maybe the trip had nothing to do with it. It's not that long a trip, but I just that's an angle that I usually try to beat, especially if the horse, in like Fra Moro's case, the last time he won is about to drop off our PPs. So, he's been doing it against $50,000 starter types at major circuits. So you got to respect that. But I like horses with some definitive style. Either close for me or go to the lead, but don't just run around there 4 lengths back at every call.
Yeah, so we need Close to Midnight to run scared. Just get to the front and run like you're petrified.
Right, pin your ears and go. And On to the 10th. We got some scratches out of here. The 4, Kiowa's Storm. The 9, Show Me Grace. And the 13, Moro of Everything are all scratched out of this 10th race.
Yeah, these are good betting races, but I just call good betting races the one I have the winner. So it's a very large field. So that makes it a great betting opportunity at least. I'm on the 11. My horse, Show Me Grace, scratched, owned by a good friend of ours. But anyway, My Baby's Gone, who was beaten only a neck at Houston, just 3 starts back, given a little time. Entered here, was bet down, to 1-2 in his first start here, and finished second behind Pixie, who I think Pixie was a pretty good price, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. And I didn't like
kind
her.
Kind of a surprise winner to me.
Yeah, and my quandary is I didn't like Pixie that day. That might have been my fault, but I didn't like her. And if I don't like the horse that beats a 1-2 shot, why would I pick the 1-2 shot back? I mean. Maybe that makes no sense, but I'm trying to beat My Baby's Gone this time, even though obviously I liked her last time.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot in this field, really. I mean, It's going to take some tremendous handicapping to come up with the W. I think in this one was claimed, by Danny Pish, and he's got really good numbers, 28% with a really large sample size winning off the claim. So, not a confident pick, but I'm on the 11 here. The 6, David's Dream Girl. Exis and I, second place finish behind Crescendo Bling, who ran just a tremendous race that particular day. Comes back at the exact same level. The buyer figure of 40 doesn't sound like much, but in this field, it's actually a very competitive fig. And then Velvet Chains. I kind of like this horse, too. The numbers don't say he's a contender, but he tried blinkers for the first time last time out on July 4th. Battled for the lead. I know the fractions weren't very fast, but battled for the lead and held on to be a really clear second on that day, cutting back to a sprint distance. I mean, that might do the trick in here. I don't know. I feel like I'm half guessing in this field. This sometimes the field's just a little more than you are handicapper, and I feel like in this race I'm a little overmatched.
Well, and that's saying something. If you feel overmatched with your experience and abilities. Velvet Chains is intriguing to me, if only because, she did hold on reasonably well going a mile, and in a race like this, it wouldn't be surprising to see a bunch of them stagger home, so at least get a horse that you feel like stamina-wise is at least still going to be going at the end, But that said, I went with the 7, Cara Cantina in this race. 4-year-old filly. This trainer has limited sample size this year, but has done well with, I think he has My Baby Blue, does he not? Or is that a different Eduardo back in that earlier race?
I think so.
That, they've been patient with her. The work tab is certainly extensive. It goes all the way back to February. He does well with firsters. I looked up the dam. The dam, Pulpatina, ran for Christophe Clement, was 1 for 7, broke maiden at second start at Aqueduct, so had a little bit of precociousness there. Has 5 other foals. 3 of them are unraced. So that's kind of odd. But so I'm going to give a shot with Cara Cantina over My Baby's Gone. And my third pick scratched, so now my third pick is Velvet Chains. All right, on to the last.
It is a good race to take a shot with, though. So
yeah,
that's good. I think he picked the right race, I think.
A good bit of the meat, those Texas bred maiden races, I was falling for the one horse that had halfway decent form, and then they didn't replicate that form. And so now I'm trying to turn things around a little. 11th and final, scratch. We're disorganized. We're getting these scratches late. Number 3, Vilazig. Mile on turf for fillies to wrap it up.
Yeah, and the 12, Gastown, who gets to move in a spot. I guess that's a good thing. He was in the 11 hole last time when he was beating a diminishing neck. Did have traffic issues near the top of the stretch, so, his numbers are best. His form's terrific on turf. Never worse than second in 3 tries. Top trainer in Louisiana, Ron Fouché. You get David Cabrera. Clearly the one to beat in here. The 5, Siamese, I find him real interesting, too. He won a non-2 for 15, a non-3 for 15, both from well off the pace. Then last time out, he tried this condition, and the pace may have got to him. They didn't go very fast. He overcame that slow pace against condition claimers, but was not up to it last time out. Also was wide, beaten less than a length. So John Barger has this 4-year-old filly in really good form, and if the pace is honest, I could see her maybe winning for the 3rd time here at the meet. And then the 9-horse in here, if I can turn my page here, Impressive Reward for Calhoun. Finished fourth in a couple stakes at Houston on turf, and then last time out here against Quinella, ran a terrific race, was the favorite, finishing second. Moved to the main track when the race was moved off the turf on June 7th, produced a really game win there. Now back on her best surface for really high percentage connections.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Gastown. I don't think the outside post is going to be that big a deal because she has no speed and is probably going to settle in 2 or 3 wide into that first turn and, got a really nice trip. Maybe a nice trip. Did have some traffic issues, but got a good enough journey from the outside post last time and narrowly missed. Could repeat today. Siamese, like you say, super good form right now. I went with Markup as a third pick. Puts blinkers on, stretches out. This filly's debut win was really impressive. She followed up with a decent effort, albeit a distant third. I'm just curious to see how she stretches out. And Impressive Reward certainly merits a big shot as well. But good way to wrap it up.
Yeah, very good last race of the meet.
All right. Well, we battled the wind down here, but the wind means that it's a little more pleasant temperature-wise. So we shuffled with our papers, but we kept them on the desk. And hopefully we gave you some horses, not only today, but throughout the year to consider. I don't think I have much to add.
Yeah, let's just have a great day, and maybe I'll catch up with you at Remington when they open our sister track.
All right. Good luck. Good luck today. Thanks for joining us today and all meet long, and good luck through the summer as well.